Clip Club. Clip Club. It's amazing how my keyboard sounds so clear. I think it shouldn't be like that, but just so happens that it does. Maybe it's the clickety clackety that goes through straight into my microphone. But anyways, welcome everyone to another episode of your casual conversation with me, your friend Carlz, the only show on the planet where the same bald dude tries to express his thoughts in both English and Spanish. Yeah, I said it. The only one. Today, I've been going through like type of like a revisionist kind of like, is it a revisionist? Yeah, because lately I've been really keen into like trying to be as positive as possible, especially when I do reviews. While talking about a game, Resident Evil 9, I saw myself really being like really pessimistic, and it's okay. I mean, that's what critics and criticism is for. But in the case of movies and everything, more than in games, because games always seems to be more like a team effort. Movies, and some of them, they seem to be this artistic endeavor, or like the vision of probably just one person. And when you kind of like rely on that concept to look at movies, it's really hard sometimes to be a critic. It's really hard sometimes to go around and bashing a movie like, dude, this shit is terrible or something, because it's the artistic creativity of someone. And if you've ever tried doing something creative yourself, that shit is hard. Like a poem, a short story, not even like a painting or anything. Being creative is hard, and being an artist is hard. So you try to be as empathic, have as much empathy as you can with the artist as a consumer. But here's the thing. Suddenly you get a piece of work, a piece of art that reminds you of the world we live in. Sometimes we remember like Van Gogh, right? The painter, who, oh man, he lived his life in infamy, and like nobody cared for him, nobody bought his shit, and he was always depressed. He might have been the first emo for all we know. I mean, probably the first emos were all the way, even way back, but whatever. We've been here forever. But you get this idea of the suffering artist, the one that needs to, as I said, suffer and like really struggle to get his point, his message, his work out into the world. You think that has changed? Somehow it has. But as mainstream media and the arts get more basically owned, monopolized by rich people, it becomes even harder to be an artist. You can wonder if being an artist, or for you to be an artist, you need to be famous, or you can, like, I don't know, make a judgment on whether your success equals how good of an artist you are. But anyways, the movie I've been thinking about this week, since I saw it before, I rewatched it to my disgrace. I didn't watch the whole thing. I gotta accept. And then I did my Spanish episode, and now I'm doing the English episode. Is Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. There hasn't been a movie in a while that has the not the honor, but like this movie bears Coppola's name. This is a movie that has become bigger than the movie itself, not only because it's long, not only because it's boring at times, not only because it took him 30 years to make it, not only because allegedly, or like I think it's a fact by now, that he used his own money to make the movie because nobody wanted to do this piece of shit. It has become a myth. Now, there's one thing, man, there's a couple of things that I want to say, but there's one main thing that I want to say about Megalopolis. It's not a complicated movie. It's not a really intellectual movie or whatever. Like, it's not. This is a movie about making a criticism or making a critique of modern American culture. I think, like, nobody can deny that. Nobody can see that this is nothing else but that. The metaphor is so dumb and so explicit. It's like politicians are corrupt. They smother us geniuses that we have, like a genius, right? We have an idea. In the case of the movie, it's Adam Driver's character who has this idea to create a utopia, a megalopolis, a city of like a utopia is fair and like everything. Then he gets challenged by corrupt politicians, the industry, the media, like everybody's against him, but he's like this artist, visionary, who fights against everybody else. Everybody else is corrupt except him at sometimes. And then you immediately get triggered and you get transported into real life. And you realize that this is just Coppola talking about himself. It's funny. One of the things that I said during my Spanish episode, and one that I'm 100% kind of like 100% sure by now, is that he had his friend, something Riggs. I read his name between my Spanish episode and now, and even then I forgot about it. He basically commissioned one of his friends to do a documentary on the making of this movie, which is called Megadoc. So it's Megalopolis and Megadoc. By now they are siblings. They are like a pair piece, a piece pair. Wait, there are two pieces that are paired. They are like siblings. They go together, one and another. And this is important for the case of this movie in particular, because it's a movie that tries to be so much things, tries to be so many things, and is so all over the place that you need some backup to understand it. And that backup is the documentary. Why is Megalopolis so hard to grasp and understand? Because it's a mess of a movie. It's so big, the metaphors are all over the place, the performances are batshit crazy, and you can see there's an intention behind it. Like, the powerful people, they are a parody of what they are. Like the politicians, the business owners, they are parodies of what they are criticizing in real life, like real businessmen and real business people and real politicians. They are parodying that. But the main problem with that in the movie itself is that the movie has this weird tone, like this weird jumping tone between being a true statement or like critical statement against the system and a parody on itself. It jumps between metaphor, parody, and seriousness, and you can see that in the really convoluted script that they came up with. As I said at the beginning, the basic idea is there. It's easy to understand. Current society is corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. Businesses are corrupt. They are smothering the geniuses that have bright ideas to make like new utopias. But then you get a bunch of stuff that doesn't help to put that point through. As I said, the change in tone doesn't help. It doesn't help for Adam Driver's character at one point to give like a marvelous speech about what he dreams for the future, and the next scene having like a freak out, like like the famous meme scene, like go to the club. It doesn't help. It doesn't help that you have Shia LaBeouf's character being a caricature of a corrupt political system, right? And you then mixed it up with like ludicrous performances, and really you don't really put the point through. You to parody something, you don't need to just make it ridiculous, and then you mix everything up with a metaphor for American society in the disguise of Rome, and you have like coliseums and like names like Cicero and Caesar. It's like, it's so stupid. It's like, dude, I already understood your point. Why are you covering it in these layers and layers of bullshit? And that's when you understand, by watching Megadoc, that all of these grandiose visual apparatus is Coppola's effort or to be an artist. And this is really strange because when you see Megadoc, you see the intention behind it. I call this during my Spanish episode a little bit conspiranoic, and it might be, but in my mind and through my eyes, I can totally see it. Megadoc was a vanity piece for Coppola to sort of present himself as a suffering artist. It's curious how every actor that is in Megadoc, like, none of them seem to understand the movie. None of them seem to understand Coppola. Everything that happens in the movie, it seems to be another line of suffering for Francis Ford Coppola, and he always comes out like the suffering artist. That is what you see in Megadoc. That is what you see in his interaction with conflictive actors like Shia LaBeouf. Like, oh, this is my vision and you're ruining it. Oh my God. Then, if we go back to the main idea of the movie, as I said, that is a criticism of modern American society, you start to think about this whole, as I said also at the beginning, this growing myth of megalopolis. In my Spanish episode, I compare it with a bomb. I don't know if the metaphor was correct. It could be a tree instead of a bomb. But the way that I proposed it was that in the core of the bomb, or maybe the tree, was this idea of making a critique of American society and politics and everything. And as it begins expanding, you get all of these ramifications and all of these split ends that have so many arguments and so much BS that it just stops making sense. It gets too bloated. That is the biggest thing about Megalopolis. It's too bloated. The art design is too bloated. The plot is too bloated. The script is too bloated, because we already understood the point. We already understood the point. We got it. We got it. But then you get some weird shit. For example, that Adam Driver's character has the power to stop time, and you go like, what? What the fuck? Why do I need this? What is the point of this? How does this help to put through the point of the criticism of American society, politics, and economics? How does that help in any way? And that is the big thing about it. It's like, you get let's change the bomb for the tree. You have the tree, you have the idea at the core, you have it growing everywhere, and sometimes you have some like twigs right out there that had no real like impact on the main idea, and that's when Megadoc comes to save you. And that's why I'm saying that Megadoc revealed to me the truth about Megalopolis. And the truth about Megalopolis is that it is just Francis Ford Coppola's vanity project. How can you make this assertion with such security by now, after having seen the movie and seen the documentary? to me, is a completely radical contrast that it's created between the objective of the movie and the existence of the movie in different terms. This is a movie about criticizing a system, right? Making a critique of a system, but it's made from a point of complete privilege, commodity privilege, and some sort of ego. That is sort of the point. You can say that in a really parallel or in an unexpected way. The good thing about Megalopolis is that makes you wonder, what is the artist's responsibility? Like, you can just go around and like pretend to be this big societal critic, like punk rebel director, if you have a couple of $100 million to spend on your vanity project. That is the main thing that came over me by the end of thinking about this movie. The main kind of like idea of the movie, the main concept of the movie, does not coordinate with the existence of the movie itself. This is an elitist movie, if you've ever seen one. This is a movie that exploits Coppola's fame and Coppola's ego as an artist to tell you a story and tell you like from way up there, you know, and it's like talking down to the masses. It's like, your system is corrupt, like the people in power are this and the people in power are that. They are bad, they're corrupt, and you are like down there like, okay, so I already know all of that. I already know all that shit. What is the point of you telling me this? You know, you can factor in the fact that Coppola tried to make this movie like 20 years ago. Like, I think even more so. Like 20 years ago, he tried to make this movie. And I put myself on his shoes and thinking that perhaps 20 years ago, it might have been more relevant. Perhaps 20 years ago, it would be like, oh yeah, the system is corrupt. I don't know if anyone in the early 2000s still had some illusion or like some fantasy about the world, this capitalist dystopia that we live in, to be fair in any way. I even doubt it to this day. I mean, you doubt it and you don't, because there are so many right-wing psychos and like pervert millionaires doing batshit crazy stuff with their money and their privilege, and there are still people that either deny that or still vote for them who have the power in office. So perhaps it's not that much of a common thing. It's not like, man, I'm looking for a fancy word. When there is something that is something that is commonly known, there's a fancy word for that. But anyways, I might remember it later. Perhaps Coppola is right. Perhaps not everybody is fully aware of this corrupt world we live in. Perhaps. But even if that's the case, will I deliver this message properly by these means? In other words, let's say all of these people that voted for corrupt, pervert politicians, like in the US, like Trump, and in Argentina, Milei, like here in Chile for Cast, all of these people that voted for these morons that are obviously and explicitly exploiting the system to their own advantage. Will I show them the wrongdoing of their ways by showing them a 3-hour artistic metaphor of Rome with crappy acting, like ever-changing set pieces, distracting CGI, and like cartoonish and completely bonkers visuals, like time stopping guys with one eye. Like you can keep just counting things, um, weird politicians dressed as women, and fucking crazy John Boyd with an erection of they made his erection in one scene. It's like his dick is like a meter long, and like he shoots Shia LaBeouf in the ass with a tiny bow and arrow while having an erection. Like, how does the image of John Boyd with a tiny bow and arrow shooting Shia LaBeouf in the ass while having an erection helps to put through the message that politicians and the people in power in this society are corrupt? How? Do you have to be a brilliant artist like Francis Ford Coppola to see that? Like, do you need to have some sort of, I don't know, creative sensibility to see it? Do I have it? Do we have it? Are those of us that just saw this ridiculous movie and thought it was just this condescending artistic bullshit from a rich person perspective, like, do we lack something? Again, that is when Megadog comes to rescue you, and it just shows you what it is. It just does. It's explicit and it's right there. You can't tell me, first of all, that you are a suffering artist. Second of all, you can't tell me you are not part of the elites. And third of all, you can't tell me you are an artist just because you have the money to do so. You get into some really interesting questions and reflections from that, about what it means to be an artist, about what it means to deliver a message, about what privilege means. And for example, if you think about Hollywood and the big movie business, you think, okay, what does it take to do a revolutionary social commentary work in today's mainstream media? What does it take? You have plenty in the documentary side, but documentaries are not the same. Documentaries, even though I love them, and I should do a show or a podcast talking about documentaries only, documentaries are still a niche thing. But there are so many like revealing documentaries. They show a reflection of what our society is. But there aren't really punk movies anymore. Like all of the business, the Hollywood reality, it's all monopolized by just a handful of people. We get these indie creatives like in A24 and these other production companies, and they do weird, bizarre, and beautiful things, but they ain't punk. Like there's no space for that, because by now the mainstream Hollywood media is the bad guys. They are the bad guys. They might allow for us to feel things with some beautiful, funny, entertaining movies. They might allow us to think sometimes, but they won't allow us to criticize the same system we are part of. Perhaps in another way, or like in another world, these were the people that stopped Coppola in the first kind of like the first instance for him to make a movie like this. Maybe that was the case. the big bad Hollywood moguls stopped him. But even if that was the case, the fact remains, as I said before, this is a rich artist doing an ego trip and trying to portray himself as this big revolutionary artist. You know, like a Picasso or something, like someone that does a piece of work that had people thinking, oh yeah, let's mobilize the masses. Imagine like in the US right now at a protest and somebody has a megalopolis sign with some of the weirdest quotes from the movie, like "see you in the club." Imagine that. Imagine a reality where that had an effect. It's really hard to imagine it because the movie is so strange and bloated, as I said, and confusing. I'm not the right person to kind of say which route this movie should have had or like anything. Like I can't. I'm not a better artist than anyone. Like I'm just a dude that loves movies, and as a person that loves movies, like what you love about movies, to me at least, I call it like having a conversation with the movie. That's the main thing, having a conversation with it. Like, oh, since I can't sit down like across the room or like in front of Coppola and talk to him or like talk to any of these artists about what they are thinking, about what they believe. We talk through the movie. And in the case of Megalopolis, it's like, okay, interesting point. So, what do you think about this follow up? And the movie answers with, like, blah, 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 answers with randomness and answers with craziness and tries to disguise that as artistry, as kind of like creative, imaginative, creative. But like, dude, we're not talking about that. Ultimately, if you wanna call it just art, right? Like this is just art, and maybe you don't get it because you lack that sensibility. Okay, that's fine. We cannot all like the same things. We can't be moved by the same things. We don't feel the same things for the same types of idea or visuals. Okay, maybe you don't have that. Maybe you just didn't like it because you didn't get it, basically. Even if I didn't like it because I didn't get it, I don't think you can make a defense for the movie and say that you didn't get it because the movie didn't give you the tools, or you didn't get it because you don't have the intellectual capacity to get it. I think if your argument is that you didn't like Megalopolis because you didn't get it, it's never your fault, no matter who you are. If you are part of the people that didn't get it, believe me, it's not your fault. It's completely the movie's fault. And I'm not saying that every movie needs to make perfect sense for everybody. But this movie, in particular, tries to be way too many things. Try to be too big and tries to be too, like, visually, I was gonna say stunning, but it's not stunning. It's just what it is. It's the movie's fault because they didn't deliver the message in a way that everyone could understand. And I'm gonna recognize it as that, as a piece of art made by the ego of one person. And if you manage to reach that connection with that person and his message, good for you. You are on your right and you are completely allowed to enjoy whatever art or message or means for delivering that message that you want to. You are You are completely free to do so. But if you don't feel guilty and don't feel like dumb because you didn't understand it. This is literally a vanity project, and that's why I'm gonna emphasize that you gotta see it together, Megalopolis and Megadog, because that is the only way to understand the artistic ego behind it. That is the only way to see how nobody fucking understood what they were doing. Like, it can be that every actor in the documentary, like each and every one of them, nobody has any idea of what they're doing. Like, every artist, actor interview with Megadog goes the same. Oh, Francis is such a great guy. Like, he has this amazing idea. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna help him do so. They are perfectly edited, so every actor would go like, "Oh, Francis is such a great artist." You know, like every interview is the same. I don't get what I'm doing, but he's a great artist, so I'm doing this for him. All of them are the same. And then you cut to Coppola suffering for money, suffering because the art designers don't get him, suffering because the actors don't get him. That's it. That is the mechanic. So, in the end, what can we say about Megalopolis? It is a mess of a movie because it's just too big and it tries too hard to do too many things. That is obvious in it. At the same time, is obvious as well the message that it's trying to convey. It's crystal clear about criticizing the modern American society from the political and economical sense. It's clearly there. But at the end of the day, it's also clear that it's a vanity project from a rich man that is speaking from a position of power. It might be outdated, it might have worked before, but in a world that we live now that is so interconnected, full of communication, and more than anything, it needs like revolutionary ideas to be explicit and clear for everybody. There's no way you can stop the rise of this neo-fascist movement and this right-wing capitalist kind of like villains. There's no way to stop that if the common people don't see the evils within them. And this is not the way to do it. It's not. What do you want me to tell you? You can't be just one rich guy trying to convince non-rich people that, okay, look around you, your politicians are corrupt, and your millionaires are corrupting you. Like, dude, I haven't never met a person that has more than a couple of $1,000 on their pocket. Like, we regular people, we don't we don't need more metaphors. We can't live out of them, you know. Plus, behind metaphors you can kind of like hide so many lies, and behind the lies there are like so many manipulations from the people in power. And ultimately, as I said in my Spanish episode, the people in power that are parodied in Megalopolis, the Shia LaBeouf cartoonish politicians, or like the young boys corrupt millionaires, those people are still there, man. I don't think they even watch Megalopolis. And FYI, all of those people got together in Ireland to do horrendous shit. They are already there. They are in power, they are controlling, and no matter how ridiculous you make them look, they don't give a shit. They don't. There's not there isn't any amount of ridicule you can like make, or like how much fun you can make out of these people and make them like anything, like, you know. So I guess the big conclusion is, if you're gonna do something punk and be system wide a system wide critic with your revealing work of art to be displayed for everyone to see, you better understand the times you are in and the means by which you are delivering your message. That is gonna be super important. And ultimately, if you're don't be ridiculous. We don't need more metaphors. But anyways, tea. That is Megalopolis. I think it's a movie that if you can skip it, just do it, man. The memes and the mysticism around it has grown beyond its message and beyond any of its artistic or potentially artistic contents. I bet in a couple of years from now, it's gonna be one of those cult classics. You know, sadly, because in the end, to me, as I said before, this is just an ego trip of a rich, famous guy that has indeed done greatly recognized movies. But this one ain't one of them. What is that saying? Like, you drink your own Kool-Aid? He bought the Kool-Aid, made the Kool-Aid, drank the Kool-Aid, got sick on his own Kool-Aid, puked it down, added Adam Driver to it, and that's Megalopolis. If you can skip it, do it. It's not even worth it, even for the laughs. I hope I didn't make anyone curious enough to see it, and if you have already seen it, stick to the memes. At least they're fun. See you all next time with another. Oh no! Next time I'm planning something positive. I've been trying to be more positive. I can't promise it will be 100% positive, but I'll be positively looking forward to do so. Huh? Take care, everyone. Hear you. See you all next time. Bye bye.